Good evening, and welcome to a question and answer session regarding the Eglinton Crosstown West Extension. My name is Joseph Thornley. I'm the CEO of 76 Engage, Metrolinx's public engagement partner for virtual consultation, and I will be moderating this evening's discussion. One important note, if you need closed captioning, simply look for the CC icon at the bottom of your video screen, click on that, and that will turn on closed captioning. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of Indigenous peoples, including the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. In particular, these lands are covered by 20 treaties, and we have a responsibility to recognize and value the rights of Indigenous nations and peoples, and conduct business in a manner that is built on the foundation of trust, respect, and collaboration. Metrolinx is committed to building meaningful relationships with Indigenous peoples and to working towards meaningful reconciliation with the caretakers of this land. Also, before we begin, let's take a moment to consider safety. At Metrolinx, safety is fundamental to everything that we do. As we know, the Omicron variant has led to a surge in COVID-19 cases here in Ontario. Help keep you and your loved ones healthy with the added protection of a booster dose. Anyone 18 years of age or older whose second dose was at least 3 months ago is eligible for a booster vaccine. Book yours at ontario.ca/bookvaccine or at select pharmacies and primary care settings, or you can visit a pop-up clinic. Now, this evening's event is scheduled to run about 1 hour. Our area of focus is next steps for tunnel construction, including road realignment of Eglinton Avenue West in the Scarlet area. Metrolinx will first provide an update presentation, then we'll turn to your questions. For the first part of the question and answer period, I'll draw from the questions you submitted in writing, and I'll try to focus on the ones that have relevance to the topic of tonight's session. That doesn't mean that we'll ignore the others. The Metrolinx engagement team will be working to provide you with answers in the days following this event. So all questions, all subject areas will be covered, and you'll be able to check back here and read answers to all of the written questions. In the second part of the Q&A session, we'll go to the Zoom room where you will be able to turn on your mic and ask your question directly to the Metrolinx team. If you would like to join the Zoom room, you can do that at any time after the presentation, and you can just click on the Join Zoom button, the yellow Join Zoom button under the video. If you don't want to ask a question, you don't need to go to the Zoom room because we'll keep on watching and listening to all of the questions here. The call-in questions will be taken on a first-come, first-served basis, and we aim in each question set to keep it to 3 minutes for both the question and the answer so that we can get through as many questions as possible. Again, if you've joined us just now, the event is being closed captioned, so you can turn that on by clicking on the CC icon at the bottom of your video player. So, I'd like to introduce our panel of experts who are here with us this evening. David Panici is the Metrolinx project sponsor for the Eglinton Crosstown West Extension. Mary Dalia Guerrero Pena is the Metrolinx project manager for the ECWE. Fernando Triana is the project director for West End Connectors, Metrolinx's constructor for the advanced tunneling contract. And Hayat Mohammed is the traffic manager for West End Connectors. David, I think that you're going to begin the presentation.
Thank you, Joseph. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our first virtual engagement for 2022. We're glad to have everyone join us this evening. Despite it being virtual, we've practiced a lot through 2021, and we'll continue these virtual engagements on a regular basis moving forward. So look forward to the tunneling presentation and discussion this evening. An agenda for our topic tonight. We'll talk about a general project timeline. We will dive into tunneling construction, so a launch shaft update at the under construction and completed launch shaft at Renforth in the city of Mississauga, and then I'll pass it over to our tunneling partners and colleagues on the call this evening to go through an overview of the extraction shaft, some pedestrian work in the Scarlett and pedestrian ramp work in the Scarlett and Eglinton area, Eglinton road realignment construction work, and we'll wrap it up with next steps on the project and much anticipated question and answer period. Can move forward on the presentation. Here's updated up-to-date project schedule and timeline for the entire Eglinton Crosstown West Extension project. There are 4 main parts of the project that we've communicated to the public through 2021, and happy to see lots of progress and excellent momentum moving forward into 2022. So Fernando and team will talk about the Renforth to Scarlett Tunnel, well under construction with lots of exciting updates there. On the second and third parts of the projects, we've got the Mount Dennis Tunnel, so the short tunnel segment between Jane Street, approximately Jane Street, and Mount Dennis, which is the connection to the existing Eglinton Crosstown LRT project under construction, and the elevated guideway contract, which is a part of the project between Scarlett and Jane, where it's a 1.5 kilometer elevated guideway structure that spans that area. So lots of exciting progress on the Mount Dennis Tunnel and elevated guideway from a procurement perspective. We have begun seeking qualified bidders and proponents to deliver those 2 contracts, and that started in December of 2021. So we'll continue through the procurement process and then enter into the detailed design phase later this year once we onboard and select our proponents for those 2 projects, our design build partners. And then as we continue, we're in preliminary design for the station railway and systems contract. So that's actually building the 7 stations across the Eglinton corridor, and we're looking to wrap up that design in 2022 and 23, and then move forward with detailed design, early works, and construction of the remainder of the project. All facets of the project have different timelines that we're working towards and looking to deliver, but we're all working towards the same goal of 2030-2031 in-service delivery date for the Eglinton Crosstown West Extension. We'll continue the online engagement through these forums and various different platforms throughout 2022 and beyond. I'll pass over to Fernando to start the next segment of the presentation on the tunnel construction.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, David, and good evening to everyone. So in terms of the schedule of the Renforth to Scarlett Tunnel, I think we are really glad to share with the community that we are not only on time, so we are a few weeks ahead of the schedule. So the construction of the launch shaft is progressing, well, basically finished. The TBM arrived to site. We have already received the 2 TBMs, and we are progressing very well with assembly. So the expected date of launching of the TBM in the spring of 2022 is something that we are confident that we can maintain and even gain some days on that. There is no changes in terms of the station head walls. It is expected to start Martin Groove and Kipling head walls in April 2022, and we continue in the fall of 2022 with Eglinton, and in 2023 starting with the head walls of Royal York. That is next thing that on next site we are gonna open in this Renford to Scarlet Tunnel is the extraction shaft that we will go through the presentation with more detail, so I don't extend myself anymore. In terms of the launch shaft update, I think as we have brought a picture or some picture of the progress, that I think is much better than an explanation. In this one, you could see the progress of the launch shaft that is almost finished. This photo was taken in December and shows the starting of the pouring of the concrete in the slab of the bottom. And you can see as well in the picture the big cranes that we are using for the assembly of the TBM. Next one. Next slide, please. So in this one as well, you can see some of the equipment that we're installing as well in the launch shaft that will permit us to operate the TBMs and to feed the TBM as the big tower crane that is already installed and working, and other elements of the tent that we are using that permit us to assembly and to maintain the schedule of assembly of the TBM even with the condition of the weather, not the winter that we're having and with the temperatures that we're having right now. And next slide, please. We are really excited to show that we know some pictures of the TBMs. But this is the one that you have in the left shows the cutter heads that are the mobile pieces that actually used to extract the material, to excavate the material from the ground. As a big milestone in our project that happened in January 10th, we lowered the first piece of the TBM in the bottom of the shaft. You can see in the picture not only that we are lowering that first piece with that big crane, as well you can see that the launch shaft is completely finished, the bottom slab is completely finished. And this is happening some weeks earlier than was anticipated in our schedule. So we are really proud of the progress that we are having, even considering the winter conditions. Next slide, please. The next site that we are going to open is the TBM extraction shaft and portal. When the TBM finish digging west of Scarlet Road, we will have to dismantle the TBM and remove the TBM so we can continue with the construction of the portal. So we're going to use that shaft with these two purposes. First one is to extract the TBM that is going to dig and construct the tunnel from Renford to Scarlet Road, and the second one is to permit the transition from the underground to above ground. The TBMs will operate up to 20 meters deep and will tunnel almost non-stop with some scheduled maintenance day until the tunnel is complete. Each TBM can tunnel 75 meters per week and will take approximately 20 months to complete the tunnel, the excavation of the tunnel and the lining of the tunnel. The extraction shaft, as I mentioned before, will be used as well, not only for the extraction of the TBM, will be used as at the portal where the light rail vehicles transition between the tunnel and the elevated section. The construction of that is the shaft itself, and you can see in the right side a picture of a similar portal as we are going to construct in close to Scarlet Road. The construction of the shaft itself will begin in fall 2022, and it's expected that the TBM finish the tunneling and will remove in 2024. Right? Before they start the construction of the shaft itself, we have to realign the Eglinton Avenue to the definitive configuration, the definitive alignment. So we'll not need to have a provisional detour for the construction, and after that to construct the final alignment of the road. So I think that is an advantage for the community. Next slide. The first of the works that we are going to do in the extraction shaft area, in the area close to Scarlet Road, is the construction of an alternative pedestrian ramp. Okay, so that is the work that you can see in purple This is a new ramp, almost identical to the existing one, with the purpose to maintain all the pedestrian traffic during all the phases of the construction. So that this will be the access will be granted to the bridge to pedestrian even with reduced mobility. That once we construct and we have constructed this ramp, we will divert the traffic through that new ramp and we can demolish the existing one. It's important to show during this phase the pedestrian bridge will remain open not only through this stage, will be open throughout the construction of the project. All lanes of traffic in this phase on Eglinton Avenue West will remain open. So from January to March, there is not expected to close any lane in Eglinton Avenue. The multi-use path of the south side of Eglinton Avenue West will be temporarily diverted to the sidewalk south of the pedestrian bridge. You can see that but basically that is the green line that you can see in the bottom of the picture that is south of the bridge. So pedestrian traffic will be maintained through during this stage. Existing bus stop will remain open and in service, and it's expected that the construction crews will work from Monday to Friday between 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Okay, it's possible that extended hours may be required to maintain our schedule. That is something that we are trying to maintain, and even as I mentioned before, try to gain some days in the schedule. So it's something that is a commitment of this is to try to maintain the schedule as much as possible and respect the dates that are transmitted to the community. In the next slide, we are going to discuss, or we are going to explain the next stages. That is the next stages about the proper realignment of the Eglinton Avenue West, and for that, we have here our traffic manager, Hayat Mohammed, that is going to explain with detail the works of the realignment of Eglinton Avenue.
Thank you, Fernando, and good evening to everyone. This part of Eglinton is the realignment work, and it is essentially required to accommodate the portal. So we have to make room for that construction. So this alignment will be approximately 10 meters towards south. This is the average value because it's a curve, so it may vary. And we'll begin this construction work in April 2022. The driveway, which is, you can see in the picture, it says permanent driveway closure. It's 24-25, it says there. We'll keep that driveway open because it's currently serving the Ridgeview residents here, 25 and 39 and 61 Ridgeview Road, and we'll keep that open all the time throughout the construction period. The only change, the only restriction would be on the left turners. The left in and left out will be restricted. And the reason is that because the operational issues and the safety. So two are the main reasons to put those restrictions in. And so this will be due to the safety of workers and the residents. Those are coming in and out of this Ridgeview driveway. And because we are reducing it down to single lane in each direction, so it's really important that we should restrict the left in, which is the eastbound left turn in front of this Ridgeview driveway. Can you move on to the next slide, please? So we'll construct this whole realignment in two phases, and we'll finish this activity in approximately 7 months. The first stage will continue for 3 months. So during this stage, we'll reduce the Eglinton down to single lane in each direction. You can see the existing bus stops here in the red, says existing bus stop. There are two stops, one for eastbound direction, one for the westbound direction. Both of those stops will be relocated towards west, towards the west side, approximately 100 kilometer. We'll maintain that. And the third bus stop, that is TTC stop, which is close to the Scarlet, this will be moved further up, slightly up. We'll maintain that too. The only thing here is that the existing, we have to rebuild the existing sidewalk and the existing MUP as part of the construction activity. So we have to close both the existing sidewalk and the MUP, but we'll provide an alternate MUP here. You can see in the blue. So that is a temporary detour for the multi-use path, and the people can use that to maintain that connectivity with the existing multi-use path. Again, there's no left turns will be allowed at the Ridgeview driveway. And there is a possibility that the construction traffic will bring all the construction traffic which will cross the multi-use path. So for the safety reasons and for the safety of the public, we will use the traffic control persons to guide the pedestrians and cyclists, and the traffic control persons will control that pedestrian traffic at that point. Can you move on to the next slide, please? So this is the next phase, which is approximately 4 months. Everything remains same, except that in this phase, we will open the newly constructed multi-use path and the sidewalk. That's the only change. Otherwise, everything remains same. The Eglinton will be reduced down to single lane in each direction. All the TTC stops will be relocated, and no left turn and left out is allowed at the Ridge driveway. Next slide, please. So what to expect? This is really important because we are working very, very close to the residents, and dust and noise and vibration is always associated to all the construction activities. And since we are very close, we are very much sensitive to the dust and vibration stuff. And for the dust, all possible mitigation measures will be in place. We'll be using the water sprayers and biodegradables and dust suppressants. And for the noise and vibration, we'll be using the monitors. Those have already been installed on the residences and the offices buildings and commercial buildings in the vicinity of that extraction shaft. And those monitors will continuously record the level of noise and vibration. And that data will be very, very helpful for us to evaluate and to make sure that we are not exceeding the allowable limits, which is set by the City of Toronto bylaws. There may be further opportunities to install new monitors, and just in case, if by chance if someone is feeling that the noise level is exceeding or they feel uncomfortable anytime, they can call us at this number, which is 24/7 hotline, and we'll respond to that call and address the issue immediately. Next slide, please. So I think I'll hand it over back to David.
Yeah, thanks, Fernando and Hyatt. Great overview on current construction and you know what's upcoming in the next few months. It's great to see the progress. I'll wrap up the presentation this evening before the Q&A with next steps and a reminder on how to contact us at Metrolinx and the broader team here. For on the tunneling side of things, the first few activities, TBMs, tunnel boring machines, will be assembled and looking to full assembly of the machines in the spring, and that will enable tunneling to actually commence later this spring also. So tunneling once again will start at Renforth and head east towards Scarlett Road. Headwall construction, as Fernando highlighted on the schedule, specifically at Martin Grove and Kipling, will start this spring also. So we're looking in and around April to begin that work. And lastly, extraction shaft, the excavation and the construction works to build the extraction shaft, where the tunnel boring machines will eventually arrive at Scarlett and be removed from the ground, will start in fall of 2022. So later this year, but looking forward to that milestone to begin that construction. And as we continue to build on the construction of the project, we'll definitely be facilitating future virtual open houses to talk about the different construction, and for example, the extraction shaft details will come later on this year. A bit of a pivot on from tunnel construction into other parts of the project. We continue to hear lots of feedback on the elevated guideway, so the section between Scarlett and Jane Street. We've had focused discussions with community and residents through virtual open house, through specific meetings with groups like the Mount Dennis Community Association. We've recently met with a meeting jointly facilitated by Councillor Nunziata's office to talk about the elevated guideway and some of the concerns that the residents have communicated to us. So in response to that, we are looking to launch a survey on the elevated guideway specifically to collect some feedback and really introduce some potential design options for the community to provide some focused insight on features of the elevated guideway, such as the public spaces around the guideway, below the guideway, and beyond. So those are really some of the public realm and elevated guideway features that we're going to be rolling out to the community through survey, and we hope that ongoing engagement and participation in those surveys will be excellent to support the project design as we move forward. And lastly, on the final slide here, we've got a reminder on how to contact Metrolinx. So, ongoing feedback is very much appreciated. Participation at the meetings are super valuable to us on the design side and the project team side of things. So continue to keep updated through the Metrolinx Engage website. We've got our e-newsletter that can be signed up for, and we're always willing to hear, and we're always willing to meet with members of the community through focus sessions or through community pop-ups and all that. So feel free to email us, call us toll free, or visit our website and sign up for further details. I'll pass it over to Joseph to wrap up and kickstart our question and answer period. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, David, and thank you to the team, and thank you for coming in under time tonight. So that leaves a few more extra minutes for questions. So let's get right into the questions. You showed the Eglinton West realignment and the construction and the Richview access being closed. And one of the issues that has been raised more than once is it absolutely necessary to close it? And the questioner indicates it's going to be a huge problem for residents. And they were told that studies were underway. Have these studies been completed? Can residents look at them? About the impact on residents.
Yeah, thanks, Joseph. So we've talked about the driveway closure to 25, 39, and 61 Richview Road. We've tried to take a proactive approach in communicating to residents as early as possible that we anticipate as part of a future part of the project. So for clarification, Hyatt, described it in an earlier slide, but the permanent driveway closure will be triggered in about 2 or 3 years' time, so 2024, 2025. So that's one future part of the project and a big consideration and big impact that we are looking to manage internally and communicate out to the public on in future. There's a second part of it, which I had also discussed in terms of the tunnel construction and those restricted access impacts that will be managed throughout 2022 and beyond. So that's the right in, right out access. We did communicate last year that traffic studies and analysis is underway. Metrolinx experts are reviewing the overall impact of the driveway closure, and while the reports are still in draft format at this time, we do anticipate in the next few months that the final report will be prepared and it can be shared with the public. The report and why it's in draft format is, it's a report that's being collaboratively developed between Metrolinx and the City of Toronto Transportation Services Department. So we continue to collaborate on a frequent basis to assess the driveway closure with our City of Toronto colleagues. And once that collaboration and that analysis is complete, we'll look forward to briefing the public on the results and findings of the driveway closure, and most importantly, the future mitigation strategies to handle the driveway closure and what that means for the local transportation and road network in the Scarlett and Eglinton area. So
Thank you for that.
Stay tuned. We'll be out. We'll be out in the next few months on the results of that closure and next steps.
Okay, thank you for that answer. Let me just follow up because you mentioned future, and there was a follow-up question that was submitted. Are there plans to open Richview Road at the west end to allow access to Eglinton Avenue westbound? Is that in the cards at all?
So as part of the traffic study and overall impact analysis, there is a suite of mitigation opportunities that are required to be developed and recommended. So there's different mitigation opportunities. So simple things such as traffic signal timing changes in order to improve the traffic flow in the general area. And then there's other options such as a relocation of a driveway or a potential reopening or opening of the cul-de-sac extension to Eglinton. So that is definitely in the suite of options that needs to be considered as part of the analysis. And once a recommendation is met with the City of Toronto, we'll definitely bring that forward for the community's input and feedback.
Okay, thank you for that. And I'm moving quickly because I want to get a lot of questions in. One more access question that was asked. Will the access to the Scarlett Woods golf course remain? If not, what walk-in and vehicular access is proposed?
As part of the overall tunnel and overall project construction, we don't anticipate any impact to the Scarlett Wood accesses at this point in time. I'll pass it to Hyatt for confirmation through the tunnel construction.
Thanks, David. I think the golf access is not going to be impacted. It will remain as is. And as far as the Richview is concerned, during the construction phase, we will keep it open all the time, except as I mentioned earlier, that there is a requirement to put that restriction left in and left out from that axis. The reason being that one is the safety reason for the workers. The other one is the operational issues, and the city is always interested to know that impact, because we are reducing it down to single lane from 2 to 1 lane in each direction. And only 1 lane will be left for the eastbound traffic. If someone is coming in that lane and is stopped to take an eastbound left turn into the Richview, it will stop the entire traffic behind. And it's going to create a lot of congestion and a frequent breakdown of the operations of traffic, which the city doesn't like. So those are the two reasons associated with that left turn restrictions.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. You talked about mitigation for dust and noise. There were a number of questions that were submitted about that, and I know that you covered some of this. One question that comes up when you were talking about monitoring noise and vibration so that it doesn't exceed certain levels. What will you actually do if it does exceed the acceptable levels? Will you shut down construction? Are there fines for the construction people if they are exceeding those noise levels? What will you do if you record noise and vibration above that which is allowed for?
Yeah, Joseph, let me jump in and try to respond to that. First to say that this is anticipated that noise levels and vibration levels remain under the allowable levels permitted by the city. So it's not anticipated that we exceed during the operation of not during the construction of the site. I think it's first with the TBM. The first thing is that the TBM is operating pretty deep, and we have implemented mitigation measures already. For example, we are not using trains with steel wheels. We are using other kind of vehicles that they have rubber wheels. So that reduce a lot the vibration that in previous project was a concern or was the source of a few complaints. In terms in the more traditional construction site, we are going to monitor. We have implemented a monitoring plan in terms of noise, in terms of vibration, in terms of air quality. And if we detect that any of our operation is exceeding the acceptable levels, I think it's first thing we will stop, and after that we will implement the mitigation measure or the necessary measure to reduce and operate and construct this project under the levels permitted by the specification of our contract and by the bylaws of the city of Toronto.
Okay, thank you for that. For people who are participating, after we've asked a few more questions here, we're going to be going to the Zoom room. If you would like to ask your question live to the team, there's a yellow Join Zoom button right under the video window. Just click on that, and Gurjeet Kaur and Georgina Collymore are in the Zoom room, and they are having people raise their hands. They'll turn on mics, and we'll go there shortly. So you can always go over to the Zoom room. In the meantime, you showed the pedestrian path, and there's a lot of pedestrians and cyclist traffic in this area, especially in the summertime. It's as people move through there. Can you talk about the measures that you're taking during this construction to make it safe for pedestrians and cyclists?
Joseph, I will try to respond that question as well. I think it's first is to say that this is safety is West End Connector #1 priority. Okay, so moreover, not only when we are speaking about safety, not only we are speaking about the safety of our workers. I think this is, if we are concerned for the safety of our workers, much more we are concerned for the safety of the public around our sites. So the first that we are going to be sure that to implement is that to have multiple safety measures in place to ensure pedestrians or cyclists are safe when traveling around our sites. And one of the first measures that we are implementing is already planned and transmitted is to establish barrier and fences that separates the pedestrian and cyclist traffic from our sites and from our works. Okay, that physical separation between workers and public is the best measure that we can take to guarantee the safety. At some point, there could be a intersection between the pedestrian traffic and the construction traffic. And Hayat mentioned before, we have already planned and we have organized the presence of safety person that they're going to drive that pedestrian traffic or stop the pedestrian traffic or the construction traffic to be sure that there is no any potential risk that could affect because of that interaction that could affect the security or the safety of the public. Okay, so that is some of the measure that we are going to take in, but the most important one, as I mentioned before, is to separate completely the public from the construction work to eliminate the risk of any impact to the public.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that what we're going to do is probably get one more question before we go over to the Zoom room. You talked about the construction timeline, and I think if I recall, it was in operation in 2031. There's a question about a staged opening, and people are keen to have the benefits of the system. So would it be okay? All right. So we have time for a couple more questions here. So staged opening. Would it be possible to open the stations at Jane and Scarlet in advance of the other station extensions? Those two stations don't appear to require tunneling or underground station work and could be finished before the rest of the project. Opening the stations earlier would allow residents of the surrounding communities to realize the benefits sooner. Is that a possibility? Is that something you would consider if there was public support for it?
I'll take that one, Joseph. Thank you. A really great question, and an innovative thought on how to bring transit to the community faster, and love that enthusiasm. So to confirm, Joseph, that's correct. On the overall opening of the project is 2030 or between 2030 to 2031. That's the commitment that we've made to deliver the project by that date. There's actually, a significant amount of consideration that's given to the design and the delivery of an overall integrated transit system. So a project such as the Eglinton Crosstown West Extension deals with a lot of design and construction interface and connection points between stations, between tunnels and elevated guideway, the locations where the tracks connect, and other components of the system such as exit buildings for tunnel evacuation and traction power substations that provide power to the rails to operate. So there's a lot of design and consideration given to all these elements, but at the end of the day, it's really an interconnected system. So opening a station in phases would be quite challenging because from an overall integration perspective, there's a significant amount of testing and commissioning that's completed towards the end of the project. So towards a couple of years before the opening date, where we really test all the elements of the railway system, all the way from stations to track to different fire and life safety systems that really need to be tested towards the end of the project once construction is fully complete, in order to ensure that by the targeted delivery date, there's an operational railway that's safe for passengers and the public to use. So it would be really challenging to phase the approach of opening the station, opening the two stations on the elevated guideway at a single earlier time. So the current plan is to open the 7 stations, the extension all the way out to Renforth by the 2030-2031 date.
Okay, thank you. I had to ask because there was a question there. I want to ask about something else. Now, this has come up repeatedly, and it is the issue of tunnel versus above ground. And there are a number of questions that were asked in advance, and maybe we can bundle them together and you could speak about it. But basically, people continue to ask about the cost of tunnel versus above ground. And the ability to save money just have the thing happen faster. Can you talk about why the tunnel makes sense, please, and why the above ground makes sense where it is above ground? Why couldn't it just be tunnel all the way through?
Yeah, thanks, Joseph. I'll take that question again. Opportunity for a similar question that we continue to hear from residents and folks from the community. We recognize the challenging discussions that have been had to date, and we continue to try to mitigate and plan for an integrated project moving forward. The elevated guideway, as I mentioned in the project timeline earlier, is we're moving forward with procurement of that contract, and we're looking to bring transit to the Eglinton corridor as quick as possible. So we are actually moving forward with the elevated guideway, and we're looking to really move the conversation from tunnel versus elevated to really how can we deliver the best possible transit solution in the Eglinton corridor moving forward. So lots of discussion on the tunnel versus elevated costing and what those considerations were for the project in the early planning and design phases. I'll say that it's not uncommon across all transit systems whereby you have a mix of elevated and tunneled sections and at grade sections of a railway that operate, and it's really a context sensitive approach that's taken in various different areas to consider what the best approach to delivery and operations of a railway is. For example, the TTC's Line 2 Bloor Danforth line has both tunneled sections and elevated sections where further down in the Humber corridor, the Humber Valley, there's the existing TTC elevated stations through that area. So it's super common, and it's really a context sensitive design approach that's taken. On the cost side of things, we've communicated in past, and the initial business case is available to the public for review on our Metrolinx website. The fully tunneled section, the fully tunneled alignment across the entire corridor, with I believe 9 underground stations in total was evaluated and costed as part of that exercise to determine the cost and benefits for a fully elevated option. It was in the range of order of magnitude of approximately $1 billion more expensive than the current project that we're looking to deliver as part of the Eglinton Crosstown West extension today. So it's not just costs that come down to it. It's a really delicate balance of where you're designing and what the best solution is for the transit riders in the communities. So
Okay.
moving forward, I talked about the survey, Joseph. So just to plug the survey again, we're looking forward to feedback very soon when the survey launches, and looking forward to collaboration with the community on how we can make the best possible delivery of the best possible infrastructure.
So will that be like a mail out telephone survey, or will people be able to come here right now where they are and provide their input to the survey?
That's correct. It's anticipated to be an online survey similar to the Kipling survey that was launched in December, so accessible through the Metrolinx Engage website.
Okay, so people can look for that. All right, thank you for dealing with that bundle of topics. So I believe that our Zoom room is in contact with us now. So Gurjeet, are you able to hear me? And if you are, would you like to pick up with the verbal questions now?
I can hear you. Thank you, Joseph, and apologies to everybody on the call here today for the technical difficulty we were facing. Looks like we're back in order now. So the first question that I have here is a written question from John. And the question is, as construction is west of Scarlett Road and east of Royal York, which will hinder traffic close to the Scarlett Road area, people will go south on Scarlett to go on Eden Bridge. What are your plans for the traffic lights at Scarlett and Eglinton? I think I'll pass that on to David or Hayat to answer.
Thanks, Gurjeet.
Yeah.
I think Hayat can answer it.
I can take up that question. What we are doing here, we are in the process of evaluating the impact of that construction now at this stage, and we will modify the traffic signal timing plan at Scarlett if you're going towards eastbound direction, and for the westbound direction, we'll modify the signal timing plan at Royal York. So if there is a room there, that will improve the situation, reduce the delays, improve the level of service, and reduce the queues. So it depends on the optimization techniques and everything. We'll definitely optimize those signal timing plans at the Scarlett and the Royal York.
Great, thank you, Hayat. Next up, we have Fabrizio. I see Fabrizio, you've raised your hand. You can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Beautiful, thank you. My question is regarding the Richview driveway. In the presentation, you're saying that it's scheduled to close. However, 61 Richview has met with Kelly once, and we've asked for copies of the study. If you haven't completed the study, how can you say you're already planning to close it if the study hasn't been completed? You're looking at over 1,000 cars that are going to exit, no more from Eglinton to Richview. They're going to go all the way to Richview, which will cause more traffic going on to La Rose as well. And La Rose already had a speed camera, which was there for 3 months and had over 2,000 tickets already. So you're causing everybody of 1,000 unit owners to go onto one entrance, which is Richview, as well as there's also a school down the street, St. Dimitri's, which all the buses turn in and out. So for you to already have it scheduled to close and the study's not completed, I don't think you guys have done enough work or study to complete this decision.
Thank you, Fabrizio.
Thank
I'll
you.
defer this to David for comment.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Gurjeet. Hi, Fabrizio. I really appreciate the feedback. Thanks for voicing the concern. So there's a detailed study underway from a traffic perspective right now, a lot more in depth and really to assess the impacts and future mitigations from the closure as a result of the closure. I will clarify that as part of the 2020 environmental project report, so the environmental assessment that was done for the project to satisfy Ministry of Environment requirements, the Eglinton Crosstown West Extension published that full report, and it's available on the Metrolinx website in 2020. And that's when the initial assessment from an environmental and preliminary traffic impact analysis was completed, and that's where the driveway closure was flagged from a reporting perspective. So initial analysis has been completed, and we've done preliminary due diligence. As the project design progresses, it's a natural evolution of the project to look deeper into some of the challenges that are faced by the project and some of the design options available. So we're currently at that stage, the preliminary design stage, where we're looking deeper into the driveway closure and really trying to define what those mitigation options are. The traffic as a result of the driveway closure on streets like La Rose, streets like Richview Road are precisely the local road network impacts that we're evaluating in detail right now. So as I mentioned earlier, once those are noted, once those are documented, and City of Toronto has reviewed and is in concert with what the report is stating, we'll look to reconsult with the community, get back out to the community and residents through the engagements and focus groups to discuss those impacts and next steps. We recognize, I think, I was I was in previous consultations with the residents group of those apartments. I believe you were also there, so we'll look to reconvene with that group through our community relations team over the next few months.
Thank you, David. And Fabrizio, like David mentioned, we'll continue the conversation at a smaller table. You can expect to get an email from me today regarding this as well, so we can look at some dates for next week to convene this meeting again. I'm going to pass it over to Lenny now, who's had his hand up for a while. Please go ahead and unmute yourself to ask your question.
Hi, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Yeah, so my name is Lanny Ferrer. I'm a community member. I'm also a staff member for the Member of Provincial Parliament, Faisal Hassan. So he wanted to be sure to send his regrets that he couldn't attend today's meeting. But my question is with regards to a portion of the line, and forgive me if it's not exactly the topic of this meeting. I know there's been a lot of discussion about tunnel boring, but our riding is directly affected by the elevated guideway. And so I'm just curious with regards to the survey that's planned to go out. I imagine some of the aspects of the guideway have already been decided, some of the core kind of construction elements, or maybe I'm wrong about that. So I'm just trying to gauge and get a better understanding of exactly what sort of feedback is going to be elicited from the community, and what things are actually, we're actually capable of changing versus, what about the elevated guideway is set in stone and cannot be changed at this point.
Thank you for the question, Lenny, and I appreciate this is a big concern for some of the members in the community. We've had several discussions on this topic already, some with MPP Hassan's office as well. I think the focus of the survey is to get some feedback on specific visual elements of the guideway and also opportunities to enhance the areas adjacent and underneath the guideway itself. But I'm going to pass it over to David for the other half of the question and to add some more insight to this.
Yeah, thanks, Gurjeet. Hi, Lenny. Thanks so much for the feedback. Appreciate the concerns voiced from MPP Hassan's office. We'll look forward to meeting and engaging with yourself and the broader team from the MPP's side of things in the near future. So in terms of what's fixed in from an elevated guideway perspective, the general alignment between Scarlett and Jane Street is what has been fixed so far. We've collaborated with City of Toronto and other stakeholders, City of Toronto, TTC, and Toronto Region and Conservation Authority to really assess what that guideway alignment would be between those two areas and how to optimize the guideway alignment to be sure that it's balancing all the different design and technical requirements that need to be met. So we continue to have a lot of good challenge and discussion from stakeholders, City of Toronto staff and TRCA primarily to evaluate where the guideway would be relative to the roadway. So we've expressed the desire to bring the guideway as close to the roadway as possible to mitigate the park impacts and the impacts to the TRCA lands and any potential floodplain impacts. So we've really done a lot of work on that side of the alignment piece to finalize into our future contract documents. Gurjeet really spoke to what the opportunities are. It's really we're looking on targeted community feedback on the look and feel of the guideway, the experience underneath the guideway. What are some opportunities that the community sees as benefits to the surrounding area, surrounding like the infrastructure. We really want to build a vision together of how this piece of infrastructure will operate in the community and how it will interact, and people will have the opportunity to interact with it and surrounding it. So it's really the focus on the look and feel and the public realm and the experience below and adjacent to the guideway that we we're looking for feedback on.
Thank you, David. I want to pass it on to Raymond, who's had his hand up. I do understand that we're just a minute away from ending the meeting, but just considering the fact that we had some technical difficulties, I'm hoping we can stay on a bit longer to get some more questions. So Raymond, I have unmuted you. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, on topic regarding the road realignment, stage 1. Are you hearing me okay?
We are, yes.
This is for April, stage 1. Is this the reason why 2 brand new bus shelters were removed last month? They were only a month or 2 old. At Scarlet Road, the both west side of the street. Those shelters have been removed, and no one can tell me why. And as president of the Tenants Association, people are asking me.
Thank you, Raymond. We're hearing you a little faint, but I think I've understood your question. So your question is that there are 2 brand new bus shelters that have been removed at Scarlet Road, and you want to understand if that is because of the ECWE project. Is that right?
Yes, correct. Yeah, that's the point.
All right. Thank you, Raymond. David, can I pass this on to you for comment?
I'll pass on to Hyatt or Fernando. Are you gentlemen able to answer the question? It's about two new bus shelters that have been installed by TTC at the Scarlet and Eglinton intersection, and confirmation that if it's the ECWE project that has removed those shelters or not.
So as I understand the question, if he's talking about the 2 stops, which is right under the existing pedestrian bridge, yes, as part of this project, we have to relocate both of those stops towards west. That's correct. But right now, they are just still in operation as is.
Yes. So Gurjit, thanks, Raymond, for the question. Maybe we're not totally understanding. So as part of the project, we haven't began works in that area, in the Scarlet and Eglinton area yet. So any relocation of bus stops that has already happened is not through the Metrolinx work and this project. Perhaps we can put you in contact with TTC or City of Toronto Transportation Services staff to seek confirmation on if any work has been done to relocate those bus stops already. Gurjit, I'm hoping that that's a sufficient response for now, and we can get back to Raymond.
For sure. Thank you, David. And Raymond, we'll be in touch, and I can connect you to the right people to answer this question for sure. I'm hoping we can take one last question. I see Eli has his hand up. You can go ahead. Yeah.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can, yes.
Hi, my name is Eli, and I'm the property manager working for Dell Property Management, managing 61 Richview Road, the high-rise building. So my concern is more when they start 2024-25, I believe boring machines will arrive and they start digging. So my question more about the pest control, because our neighborhood, you know, we don't want the small pests and rodents to come and visit us, and especially during the winter time, it's going to be an issue. So is there anything you guys need to kind of mitigate this issue? Thank you.
Thanks, Eli. If I can pass this on to the panelists. Fernando, I think you have something to say. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I think I can respond to that too. First thing is for the TBMs are not going to produce any dust. That this is the operation is not going to produce any dust that they can be detected or perceived by the people outside. Okay, because basically are very deep underground. So that is the TBMs itself are not going to be a concern for the people or for the community around the extraction shaft. Only the day of the breakthrough, There is going to be absolutely minimum and only for the exactly moment of the breakthrough. In terms of the construction of all the works that we had to construct around the extraction shaft area, that is the extraction shaft itself, and the road realignment. You can, I think that is very traditional construction, that is road construction or shaft construction. So for sure our operation produce some dust, okay, but we have successfully implemented in the launch shaft. It's our intention to implement mitigation measure that is going to reduce the dust and avoid any issues in the community around. Some of the measures that we have already successfully implemented in the launch shaft and that we will implement in the structural shaft are, for example, installation of green mesh on the fencing, a water truck that is coming periodically throughout the day to spray water in the road sweepers periodically. And one very important thing is we have installed, or we're in the process of installing in the area, air quality monitors that will permit us to measure exactly if we reach a point that could be a concern for the quality of life of the people around our construction site. So there is examples of the measures that we will implement to mitigate the common production of dust that is our operation is going to produce as any other construction activity, but we have already planned and ready to be implemented the necessary measure to mitigate the impacts and reduce to the minimum.
I believe
Fernando,
that.
Sorry, Joseph. It's Fernando. The question was on pest control, not dust control. So
I understood that.
Yeah, apologies. It was a bit muffled on my side. Do you have any mitigation measures that the team is taking in terms of pest control at the site? If not, we can take it back and
we can take back. And sorry, my apologies. I understood dust control. Sorry. In terms of pest control, I think this is we've done that is our own. Not due diligence, not for the safety of our operation, or there is any other activity in terms of pest control. I think it's honestly in my 20 years of construction that really we didn't have that kind of issue in our construction site, or that we produce that kind of issue in our construction site. Okay, so that is not expected we have any issue on that.
Eli,
Okay.
maybe we could, sorry, Joseph, before we close, Eli, maybe we can be in touch again regarding, the concerns that you have. You sound like you've been in the area for quite a very long time, and you probably know things that we don't know, so we'd love to hear from you.
No, maybe I think it's in some instance, that we have to be close to sewers, and we have to disturb sewers and all that. That is when there is some, I think it is some concerns in terms of that we can disturb, rats or other animals that could be around. That is not the case. So we are doing a new hole, completely new tunnel, so it's not connected to sewers and all that. So it's not expected that we affect any of these things. And before that happened, that could affect to the public, the safety of our workers is absolutely one of our, I would say before, our first concern. So that is if we have any doubt of any potential disturbance of any source of pest, and I'm pretty sure that we implement all the necessary measures to control that at the source. Okay.
Well, thank you for that,
and thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Gurjeet, and thank you to everybody who was in the Zoom room. So that brings us to the end of this. There have been some great questions, some new questions, and this is not the end. This is an ongoing process. First of all, if you want to, you can download the deck that was presented tonight. You just go on to the page and there's a presentation materials spot. If you come back here anytime after tomorrow morning, you'll be able to see a replay of tonight's presentation, so you can just double check what was said and refresh your memory. And over the coming days and perhaps a week or so, because there are a lot of questions, I might put an S on the end of week, Metrolinx staff will be attempting to provide answers, written answers, to the major questions. So if you did not get a chance to ask your question tonight, or you had a question and it wasn't answered, you can still add that question right below the video in the question form here. As David mentioned, there will be a survey coming up. Watch for that. And also watch this space, because there will be more events. If you want to be on the newsletter, just click on the Contact Us button on the top right-hand corner, and you can add yourself to the newsletter for this project and be informed about things. Metrolinx is doing a range of things during the pandemic to keep you connected, and even more once we can all get back out and talk to one another. I hope that you found tonight was a good and worthwhile use of your time, and that the panel's questions helped you. Hopefully you'll come back and participate in the future. And thank you very much for your participation tonight. Please stay safe. Please stay well. Good night.
Good night.